How old was Steve Rogers when he went back to find Peggy? This is actually a really good question because then you can figure out how old man Steve is. And you can also talk about how many years Peggy and Steve spent apart after they reunited. This Steve Rogers here is about 38, 39 years old after the Infinity Saga. And the script for Endgame says that when Steve went back to get Peggy, he landed in the year 1949. Now, Peggy was born in 1921 and Steve was born in 1918. So they were only 3 years apart originally, but now their years are off and Steve's a bit older. Now, when Steve departed from Peggy and he went into the ice back in the 40s, he was about 26, 27 years old. So when they get back together, Steve has about 12, 13, 14 years to account and tell her, here's what happened in my life. And those stories would be wild, and I believe Steve would tell her everything because that's who he is. This also means that old man Steve, who shows up later in this scene, is way over 100, like 10 years over 100 plus. Which is fine because he's a super soldier and he looks good for his age and he can live for a while. And I'm not here to mess with their happy ending, but Steve would want me to tell you the story. He might have to tell the Peggy that he's living with now that the other Peggy died in front of him and he got to see her and bury her. It also brings up incredible theories about, is there another Steve back in that timeline? Are there two Steves going on? Did one go into the ice and will our Steve actually go help find him? And if you watch the new episodes of the Loki show, you learn that the TVA is teaching us new rules about how they clean up the timeline, so there can be a lot more different theories. And I'm also a believer that when Steve went to return the Soul Stone, there was no one to return it to and he kept it. So whatever timeline he ended up with Peggy in, or if that's even a different Peggy, they had some amazing adventures as keepers of the stone.